Hi everyone, my name is Gustavo and today I'm going to talk about mastering RTTI from basic to advanced techniques. Let me introduce myself. My name is Gustavo Barreto. I'm a senior developer at Aquasoft. Aquasoft is a company who is partner of Embarcadero and working with outsourcing. I'm an Embarcadero instructor and a content creator on Instagram. The name of the page is Force Coding. The meaning of that is because I like Star Wars and I like to code. Feel free to follow me there, okay? So let's see the agenda. First of all, I'm going to talk about what is RTTI, the main concept of what is RTTI, okay? I'm going to show you some basic examples to get the main idea of RTTI. I'm going to show you how to work with JSON with RTTI because everything is JSON in those days. Today everything is JSON and we can work with JSON and RTTI. Okay. I'm going to talk about custom attributes, a very cool feature of RTTI. And also I'm going to show you how to create forms in runtime using RTTI. A very cool concept. There are many applications. Okay. And some final tips to conclude the chat here of RTTI. Okay. So what is RTTI? Runtime Type Information. Is a functionality in Delphi that allows you to obtain information about the types of data and structures used in your program during execution. It makes possible to inspect and manipulate the properties, methods, and fields of objects and classes without necessarily knowing their exact types during compile time. The RTTI provides some classes to access those informations, such as typeinfo, a special type generated by the compiler that provides information about the name, size, and structure of a data type at runtime. The TRTTI context, a class used to obtain information about types, fields, properties, and methods of classes and records. The RTTI type, a class that provides access to information such as type, name, size, and type. For example, TK class for classes, TK record for records. Also, we have these two little guys here, the TRTTI field and TRTTI property are two classes that allows you access information about fields and properties, expectedly, of a class or a record, used to read and set values or obtain information about data types. We also have the TRTTI method, class that provides information about class methods, including their names, parameters, return types, and visibility. As you can see, we can access a lot of information, different information. Okay. All these classes are in the RTTI unit. So if you need to use RTTI, you're gonna need this unit here. Now I'm gonna show you some basic examples of basic sample codes that explain the very main concept of RTTI. Okay. This little code here, I see a lot of many codes in many projects, codes like that. Here we are changing the caption of a button using typecast using the is and as operators. checking if sender is of a type button, that is, the object that triggered the on-click event. So it's a very simple code, and I see many projects with this type of code. Okay, and in this example here, the code doesn't know, the compiler doesn't know if the sender is a T button or wherever another component. But if it is a T button, we're gonna change the caption using the typecast of this button here. Okay, very simple. I have other example here. In this example here, I'm using a counter that checks all components in the form. The counter is component count, and we're gonna do a loop using typecast to check if the component is added to clean its content. Again, I see this type of code in many projects. Is very common. To be honest, it's very common and very useful, because imagine if you have in a form, in a screen, a lot of edits. Instead of clear one edit, edit one, clear, edit two, clear. This example here, we can clear all the edits in the form using RTTI. Okay, if you already see this type of code and this type of code here, know that this is are using RTTI. And we can use RTTI to access the property of an object of the class. In this example here, I have a class, TMyClass. This class here has only one property, my property, an integer property, okay? And this code here is gonna access the property and the value of my class. I explain here. We have some three variables here: the variable TMyClass, a variable TRTTI context, and a variable TRTTI property. First of all, I create an instance of TMyClass, set some value in the property, my property, create an instance of TRTTI context, and to access the property, I'm gonna need this line here. I'm gonna use the context using this function here, getType, using the parameter TMyClass, and using this function here, getProperty. Using this parameter here, my property, a string parameter. In that case, I'm gonna need to use the exact name of the property, or my property, okay? If it's assigned, this variable here, I'm gonna show in the screen the name of the property and the value of the property using getValue, my object to string, okay? Very simple. Now I'm gonna talk a little about JSON. Everything is JSON in those days. A lot of information exchange with other systems, servers, applications, APIs, and yes, we can use RTTI with JSON to simplify, to increase the productivity of our code, okay? JSON serialization with RTTI is the possibility to automatically extract and save the properties of an object in a data format, such as JSON, XML, binary, and vice versa, restoring object instances from serialized data. Simplify the serialization process, as you do not need to manually specify each property to serialize or deserialize. In those days, we worked with huge JSONs with a lot of fields, so RTTI can be very useful in that way. I'm going to show you two functions here. One to serialization and other to deserialization of the tPerson class. I have this class here, tPerson. This class here have two properties, name and last name. First of all, let me explain the function serialize object, which will return a JSON in a string format. Okay, this function here accepts as one parameter tObject. Okay, and we're gonna use two variables here that I mentioned before in the other examples, RTTI context and RTTI property, and a JSON object. Here I create an instance of RTTI context and an instance of JSON object. To get the properties of the class, and the class is gonna be this little guy here. To get the properties, I'm gonna do a for in using get type tObject.classType class type and get properties. Okay, and if you already know JSON, work with JSON, you know this line here, add pair. I'm gonna using the name of the property and the value of my property here. In the end, we're gonna have the JSON in a string format right here. Now I'm gonna show you the deserialize object function. This function here has two parameters. One is JSON data. This parameter here refers to a JSON in a string format, and I have this other parameter here of a T class. The type is T class. In the end, this function here will return a T object, because the goal of the reason of this function is return T object is this function can be used to any class. Okay, not only from tPerson. We have these variables here: RTTI context, RTTI property, JSON object, another object here, and a name in a string format. Okay, after created the instance here of the TRTTI context, we're gonna parse JSON value with the JSON data string format. Okay, and we're gonna do the for in to get the properties of the class of this parameter here, and we're gonna set value right here. In the end, the result is gonna be a T object with the values coming from the JSON data, the JSON string format. Okay, using these two functions is gonna be something like that. Here I have three variables. One is tPerson, other is a serialized data string, and a deserialized person. The type is tPerson as well. I create an instance of a person here, setting the properties with my name. In this line here, serialized data, I'm gonna set serialized data with the function serialize object, using person as a parameter. In the end, we're gonna have this JSON here with my name in the variable serialized data. And we're gonna use to deserialize person. Okay, we're gonna use the deserialize object using my JSON here, specifying the class tPerson, and I'm gonna need to do a typecast of a tPerson, because deserialize object returns a t object, because this function here can be used to any class. Okay, all these functions here, the serialized data and the deserialize object, can be used to any class, any JSON. That is the reason of our using RTTI here. So I'm gonna need to use a typecast here, because the function here returns a t object. In the end, I'm gonna give a show message here, showing the name and the last name. Okay, this is JSON with RTTI. Next, we're gonna talk about custom attributes, a very cool feature of RTTI. What is custom attributes? They are metadata annotations that you can associate with various elements in your code, such as types, fields, properties, methods, and even method parameters, providing additional information to associate code elements. To use custom attributes, it's necessary to define a class that is inherited from tCustom attribute, to then apply its custom attribute to some element. I'm going to show you the use of custom attributes in the next topic, which will be creating forms in runtime. We're going to use custom attributes combining with creating forms in runtime. Okay? But how can I create forms in runtime using RTTI? Here is gonna be a step-by-step to create forms in runtime. First of all, we're gonna define the form structure. We're gonna create classes or records that represents the form. This structure can contain properties to represent components such as edits, labels, buttons, whatever. And also we're gonna need to create a function to instantiate and set right the form. With this function using RTTI, we will define each property of the form and set their values based on the form structure. So here are the structure of our form that we're going to create. We have this class here, tComponentInfo. This class represents the form components. It has component class, property name, and a caption. And we have this class here, tFormStructure, who represents the form with visual components. In this example here, I'm going to create a form with only a button and a label, just to get the main idea. So these two guys here refers to the tComponentInfo. Okay, these are main structure of the form. And now I'm going to talk about the custom attributes. Remember, to use custom attributes, we're going to need to create a class who inherited of tCustom attribute. So I create here a component class attribute with 3 properties: component class, name, and a caption. and also a constructor. How I use custom attributes? I show you. Here I'm creating I'm using a tform default and declaring a tform default. This class here has two properties, button info and label info. Okay, and these are the syntax to use custom attributes. And this right here is I'm set the values of the constructor. Okay, the constructor here, a component class, name and caption. So above the button here, I'm gonna set the T button, the name of my button 1, and a caption of my button. Click here. Same goes to T label. T label, the name of the label 1, and the caption of the label my label. This is the way to use custom attributes. Always declare use above a property, a method, whatever. Because next we're gonna read these custom attributes as well. Okay, don't be afraid, don't be scared to this code. It's more simple than it looks. I'm going to explain everything right here. This code here, we're going to define the structure of the form that we're going to create using RTTI. We have these variables here, the form structure, some a tform variable, RTTI context, RTTI type, RTTI property, and a new one, a tcustom attribute. We're gonna need this variable here because we're gonna need to read these custom attributes, okay, to define the structure. After I create an instance of form structure and RTTI context, I'm gonna get the type of my tform default, okay, this form right here, just remember. I'm gonna get the type, and I'm gonna do a for in to get the properties, and next I'm gonna do a for in to get the attributes of these properties, okay, my custom attributes. To verify if it is a custom attribute, I'm gonna use this line here. If it's a component class attribute, then I'm gonna verify if it is a T button, which it is, okay. If it is a T button, I'm gonna define the structure of my button here, in my form structure, based on the custom attributes. So in this example here, property name is gonna be button 1, caption is gonna be click here, and the same goes to the label. Property name is gonna be label 1, and caption is gonna see my label. It's gonna be my label. Okay, this code here defines the structure of the form. After the loop is finished, the variable my form, the type is tform, receive this function here, create write form, which we are using a parameter my form structure. This function here is gonna create and set and write the form with this structure here, and in the end we're gonna show the form on screen. And this is the function createWriteForm. The parameter form structure here has some variables like tForm, tButton, tLabel, tRTTI context, tRTTI type, and a new one, tRTTI field. Yes, we're gonna need this variable here. Now, here I'm define some properties of my form, creating the form. Here I'm creating an instance of RTTI context. I'm gonna get the type of my form structure, the parameter here, and I'm gonna get field. I'm gonna use this function here, using as a parameter the string button width. Okay, has to be the same name to work. If it's assigned, I create the button in the form. Define the parent here of my form, my variable here. Okay, and get the caption of the structure. And the same goes to label width. Define the parent and get the caption of my form structure. Now I'm gonna show this example working in Delphi, because it works. Here are all the examples that I showed in the slides. Okay, I'm gonna run the project here just to prove that we can create a dynamic form using RTTI. Here we have this button here, dynamic form, and here we are, our dynamic form with one button and one label. The button here with the caption click here, and the label with the caption my label. Okay. But there is this question: when I gonna need a dynamic custom form? Well, there's a few situations that you can use. You must create a dynamic custom form. You can, in your application, if your application needs to create forms on the fly based on user input or external data, RTTI can be used to dynamically construct these forms, giving the opportunity to the user input some data. We also have UI testing. You can use RTTI to access and manipulate form components during automated testing. This allows for the creation of tests that interact with the UI without hard coding component names and properties. Is a situation as well. User configurable forms. Applications that allow end users to customize their interface can benefit from RTTI. Users can define form layouts and components, which the application then constructs dynamically. Themes and schemes. Implementing dynamic themes or schemes where the form appearance and behavior can be altered based on the user preference or configurations is other situation that you can use a dynamic custom form. Dynamic inspection. Tools and features that require inspecting forms and the properties at runtime, such as debugging utilities or property inspectors, can leverage RTTI for detailed introspection. For example, you can create a custom object inspector to inspect some components in the form, in the screen, giving all the information that you need. So, and if you can create components as well using RTTI, so the sky is the limit. Is the limit. And also we have RRM and data binding, frameworks that provide object relation and mapping or complex data binding mechanisms often use RTTI to dynamically bind form components to data source. Okay, so it's very RRM. I see some RMs using RTTI. It's common as well. So there's a lot of situations that you can create dynamic custom forms. Let's now I'm gonna pass some final tips to conclude. Okay. The first one, evaluate performance to avoid excessive calls to routines that use RTTI. Be careful if you are using many routines that using RTTI. In that case, can be affect the performance of your system. So always evaluate. Be careful. Okay. When you are developing for multi-platform mobile, consider that some features may be different. Okay. If I have to make some presentation with mobile, it's going to be a different presentation because the features can be different. Okay. Keep code readable and well documented. And yes, this is for RTTI is a very good tip, is a very good advice, because let's look these functions here. Okay, this is not a complex routine. Okay, I show you all the details here, I explain everything, but imagine if you have to rewrite to adjust something and you don't know all the specs, all this routine. It can be tricky if you don't have the documentation and specification of these routines. So be careful, okay? keep code readable and well documented. It's your routines with RTTI is gonna be okay with that. Be careful when you are using RTTI in different versions of Delphi. The behaviors and features of RTTI may be different in other versions of Delphi. So keep in mind that. And also be careful when you're using RTTI with threads. Must be used with thread safe, critical section, for example. Otherwise, the RTTI will not work properly. It's gonna be tricky. So always use thread safe, critical section, for example, or don't use if you are using some routines with use threads, using separate, something like that. Okay, I'm gonna show you the other examples in the project right here. All these examples in my project I show you before in the slides. Okay. The first one, we have the typecast. Okay, the typecast here verifies if a sender is a T button. If it is, change the caption of this T button. Okay. The next one is a class information, which reads the information of the property. First of all, the name, my property, and then the property value. the JSON, okay, with both functions, the serialized object and the deserialized object. In the end, we show on the screen the property names with the data coming from the JSON data string format, okay, with the first name and the last name. The dynamic form that I showed you before, and the clear edits, which this routine here verify all the edits in the form and clear as well, no matter what. Clear as well. Okay. So the reason that I taught the RTTI is because I see many developers not knowing the full potential of RTTI, okay, and I see many projects that could be using RTTI and I'm not using. Some projects could be useful, have some features. Some systems have some features of RTTI. So I hope that this presentation here makes sense to you, gives some ideas to RTTI, okay, to when use RTTI. I hope that may help in your journey with RTTI, okay. This is the end of my presentation. Thanks for the attention. Thanks for the opportunity to participate here. Now we're gonna do a Q&A, a live, and yeah, and also I have to. I'm gonna mention that all these examples here, the project is gonna be on my GitHub profile. I'm gonna share with you in the Q&A. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for the attention. Let's go to Q&A. Okay.
Well, I'm going to say it a little bit quietly in case you all turned your volume down. Okay, we're too late now. If I blow your ears off, I gave you a fair warning. Okay, well, the good news is Gustavo is live in the studio with me. Hi there. Let me just make you appear. Ka-ching, there you go. How are you doing?
Everything good?
Yeah. Do you know there's something about Aquasoft's recording that it's the second one where the audio was a bit quiet. I don't know what it is because you guys are really
yes. Because it's strange because when I play the video here, it's everything fine. Don't know what's happened.
It happens. It's not. Often it's nothing to do with you. It's to do with the content and the platform we use. I think it's a bit annoying. Let me just. I'm going to put that up. That's actually a link to Aquasoft, which is the company you work for. Is that right?
Yes. John Mai as well. He's my boss. So.
Oh, is he? I didn't know he was your boss, but I knew you all worked together. I wasn't quite sure what the dynamic was. I have to say, I think there's 3 of you from Aquasoft, maybe more, who are presenting, and all of you are excellent. You're all really good developers, and
thank you.
You really know your stuff. I did have a couple of questions that came up. Well, look, talking of Dion, he says it was a great session, so he was watching what was going on.
He's suspicious to tell, but
yeah, he has to say it as well, doesn't he? But Aquasoft is one of our, I think you're a tech partner as well as being a consultancy company as well in Brazil. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, we work as with outsourcing projects as well, allocating clients that needs our expertise in Delphi. So,
are you going to the Embarcadero Brazil conference in September?
Yes.
Then I'll meet you. I'll meet you there.
Yes. I would take a selfie with you.
But you know what? There'll be a lot of people doing that. But yes, it will be fantastic.
It's
Definitely have a
it's
selfie
your
for
first time.
sure.
It's your first time in Brazil.
Yes, I've not been before. No.
Oh,
Jim's been twice, I think, maybe more, Jim McKeith. But no, I've not been before to
you're
Brazil.
gonna
So
feel like a rock star in there.
everybody says this, and they always go, "Oh, you'll love Brazil. It's so fantastic." I'm like, "Okay, well, I believe you."
And how is
And
your
it's,
Portuguese?
huh?
And how is
How's
your
my Portuguese?
Yes.
Really lousy. I can say bom dia,
Okay.
and 10 mais was the other phrase I learned the other day, and AI or something like I can't remember. I started to learn it, and then I thought, do you know what? I reckon I'll just have to rely on people speaking
Well,
English.
that's
Do you
okay.
know?
I remember to see one day this on Instagram, Jim McKeith using the app Duolingo to learn Portuguese.
That's exactly what I did. And do you
Oh,
know what? I discovered that Microsoft's Translate app is very, very good. If
oh,
you haven't seen it before, you can get it on. You put it in between you, or you both have it on your phone. I speak in English, and it will show on your phone in Portuguese. Really, really clever app. And
but it's
likewise, if you speak Portuguese, it will show me in English. It's actually quite common over here in Texas to find someone who only speaks Spanish because there's a very heavy Mexican and Latin American population. So, um, you know, where I lived before, I had some guy come and stop, and he was lost. And I've moved now, but we lived out in the country, and he spoke no English, and I could understand some of his Spanish, but most of it was like, he was crazy, you know. And I got the app out, and we were able to find out what he was talking about. And he was just saying, I have my friend, I need to pick them up. I've lost them, I don't know where they are, and here's the address. And I could actually, you know, with this app, it's a really, and it was AI, you know, the app. So it was a really good use of AI to just kind of bring the world together a little bit, you know. So,
okay. Very
but
cool.
everybody, I know a lot of Brazilian developers, and they always say, Ian, you're going to love Brazil. And I'm like, hey, I've been
Yeah,
to a lot of countries. I'm prepared to find out.
cool.
So I pinned a few questions. Let me see. Delphine Espinal says, greetings from Mexico. Thank you for showing our RSTTI. So there you go. We were just talking about Mexico as well.
Yeah.
And another person, Paul Jackson, said you get Aqua Studio with an architect license. That's actually true. We have a deal with you, I think, to if you buy Rad Studio Architect, then you can get a license for Aqua Studio, which I think if they scan that code, they'll go to the website and they can read all about what Aqua Studio is, which is an excellent app as well. And what else have we got? Right, so Pete Rios said it was a great pace to follow along. So
Yeah.
you know,
With RTTI, we have to go real slow to everyone knows what we're talking about and to fully understand.
yeah, it can, and also when you're talking about a subject, which I would say that RTTI is kind of advanced, it's not really something that a beginner in Delphi
Yeah,
would
yeah.
do. It's after you've been doing it for a few years, then maybe, but not. And I think that it's one of these things where actually once you start to use it, it's not so difficult. But when you first come across it, it's kind of, you know, confusing, and you sort of think, well, I don't know, you know, I don't really understand. So,
And
but actually, there's a link there as well that goes to your GitHub repository with the source code on as well. So, you know, it's worth looking at. Now, what was the other question? Will these code examples be up on GitHub? Yes. Scan that code, and it will go to your GitHub repository. And Paul Jackson asks this question, which I don't know whether you know the answer to this, because if you're a Delphi guy, maybe you don't.
yeah, I'm not a C++ builder guy.
Yeah, my understanding is that there are things that translate across, but C++ is quite different. The runtime library is the runtime library, and there are facilities, but I would need to get someone who's, you know, someone like David Millington or someone to answer those questions, because he would be able to go, yes, it's 20% or 100% or whatever. So I'm sorry, Paul. The answer is we don't know off the top of our heads, but we do have some C++ guys in next week. I think there's a few sessions on C++, and we'll ask that question there and see what they have to say for themselves. And do you want to just talk for a moment about what the Aquadata product is, actually? Because I think it might be worth explaining, because someone was saying, "Oh, you get it free with Architect," but what is it that it does?
I think that I don't have
Aquadata Studio, I think they're talking about.
I think I don't have the right answer for that. The Aquadata.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe Dion can answer that question next time I see him.
Yeah, he's gonna be. I think tomorrow. I think.
Yeah. I'll ask him then, because I know Aquadata Studio. I have to say I've not used it myself, but my understanding is it's kind of like a desktop app for managing all sorts of types of data and stuff like that. So I honestly don't know the answer because I haven't used it. So there's a question neither of us can answer. Great. that happens now and again. What you know, I don't know whether you can answer this question, but
okay.
You know, we have so many good developers in Brazil. I mean, there are a lot. And not only are there a lot of excellent developers and lots of excellent MVPs, but you're all quite young. You're not like me, like lost your hair and starting to look like the world has beaten you up.
That's why, because I have this beard to not look so young.
Well, it's not an insult, but I think like Dion's quite young as well, and all the rest of you. What is it? Do you think is the secret of Brazil being so successful in producing so many good Delphi developers? Do you think it? Because I understand it's taught in schools there. Is that right?
Yes. When I was more young, I make a technical course of TI. So in that time, Delphi was the language that the school are using to teach how to program. So I think today they changed to Java, I think.
Yeah.
But in that time, it's 2007, 2008. I learned Delphi in that school and other languages as well, but Delphi was the first one. And I think in the colleges as well, at that time was very popular.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's this generation of my age who, because there's this generation with my age that knows Delphi because of that, because in that time Delphi was teaching the schools.
Yeah, and in fact, that is happening again. We have a guy over there, Landerson Gomez.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, everybody knows Landerson. He seems to be very prolific over there, and he's a great guy as well. I really like Landerson, but he is one of the people that coordinates the educational programs, and we're having some success getting back into colleges that went, oh, let's look at something more interesting like Java, and then going, wait, it's really not quite the same. And you know, Delphi in some of the indexes and that is actually rising back up again. We seem to be making a little bit of an indent into popularity, which is a good thing. I mean, it's never going to be right now. It's not going to be like the days of Borland where, everybody knew Turbo Pascal and, all these kind of languages. But that doesn't mean to say that we give up. And we certainly seem to be having some success in getting people to adopt it again, because, sessions like yours and sessions like Conrad's before and sessions yesterday, like the app that I showed this morning, where it's an app in the Android App Store written in Delphi using the free edition of Rad Studio, actually, which I'll put the link up again.
Yeah, it's
Using the
amazing.
community.
I think we are the scenery are changing. It's not the same. Uh, I was frequently asked, Delphi is dead. Delphi
Yeah,
is
it's nonsense. Yeah,
exists. But this
yeah.
question, I don't get. I don't have this question anymore. So I think that
Yeah, I think I mean, it's my job to make sure that people don't ask that question anymore.
yeah,
But I think joking apart, the stuff that we do with the cross-platform with Android and iOS and that has made a big difference. And I think that I'm not going to try and claim that we are going to be number one, but in the TIOB index, we went from number 15 to number 11. That's only one more step. In fact, we are actually higher than many of the other languages, and there's only one more step until we're in the top 10 again. And I will do everything I can to keep pushing that. And someone said, well, that index is not very representative. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. It's based on available questions, source code repositories, YouTube videos, events like this, and I'm working very hard to make absolutely sure that people know the benefits of the products. I keep
yeah,
saying I'm not trying to sell them anything, but I am trying to show them everything. Big difference. Here is what you can do with Rad Studio, and guys like you and Dion and all the others really help with that, because you know you're not an old man with grey hair and a beard. You're young. You choose to use Delphi for what you do, and there's a good reason for that. So, I'm very grateful to people like yourself and all of the guys and girls at Aquadata. There's quite a few. I mean, you've got 3 or 4 MVPs, I think, at least, work for Aquadata, and maybe more. I don't know, but I shall be looking forward to September the 5th, when the Embarcadero Brazil conference is on. It's going to be interesting.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I might get mobbed as I walk in the door. Hey, yeah, oh my god.
Rockstar.
Yeah. I always say to people, I mean, it's very important that whilst people see my face on YouTube a lot and they see me on conferences like this, it's important to realize that I'm just the public face of hundreds of people behind the scenes.
Yes.
People like you, and MVPs and all the others, but also the team at Embarcadero, producer Martha, who's got a very important meeting to go to shortly. I know she told me. I won't say what it is, but it's an interesting one. But producer Martha works very hard and very long hours to get these things out. But we do it because we believe in the product, and guys like you help us get that message out. And I really appreciate the time that you put in. I know that an hour-long video or a half-hour video or 45-minute video, it is 3 or 4 times that time for you to get to the point where you can record that. I know how much effort goes into that, and I really appreciate it, because it's not simple. You don't just turn up and do it. It's a lot of effort.
I wish I could, but
yeah, well, who doesn't?
But
Anyway.
thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be on this event and this event. So it's my pleasure as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's a pleasure to have you as well. So, I think it's brilliant. Okay, so we're gonna probably say goodbye until September the 5th.
Yeah,
and then I'll see you there, and we'll shake hands and say hi. And yes, we'll do lots of selfies and things like that as well.
Yeah, sure we do.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Gustavo. See you soon.
Thank you, Ian.
No worries.